From Boca Raton, Florida, Rabbis Ephraim Goldberg, Philip Moskowitz, and Josh Brody are taking you behind the Bima. The BRS rabbis schmooze about contemporary issues and talk to special guests who give a behind-the-scenes look at how they got to where they are and what keeps them going. Welcome to Behind the Bima.
It is Wednesday night, 9 p.m. I'm Rabbi Ephraim Goldberg, joined by my dear friends and colleagues, Rabbi Philip Moskowitz, Rabbi Josh Brody, and we're here to take you
behind the Bima.
We're here to take you behind the Bima, the latest what's going on in our lives, in the Jewish world, in the greater world, to go behind the Bima with special guests. And we are pumped and excited for tonight's special guest. Nobody thought that we could get him. No one thought we'd land him. But this is an interview you do not want to miss. So if you're listening, you will be grateful that you are here. Let's start off by thanking our generous sponsor, perhaps our most often repeated sponsor, a dear friend of Behind the Bima show. Huge thank you to Donnie Oppenheimer of the Oppenheimer Law Firm, www.opplawfirm.com. Be in touch with Donnie, any of your legal needs. He's a fantastic person. He's a great friend. He's a great lawyer. And he's a great friend of Behind the Bima. So, Donnie, thank you so much for that sponsorship. Gentlemen, how are you?
First of all, I think the Oppenheimer family is giving the Schreier family a run for their money on most sponsorships and most call-outs on Behind the Bima.
They are. I traveled this week for a family Simcha Baruch Hashem for a wedding of a nephew, and I stopped by Stop, Chop, and Roll for a roll of sushi, and they asked me if I'd like to pack up and bring back for Rabbi Moskowitz and Rabbi Brody. So the Schreiers heard last week's episode, and your sushi rolls are waiting for you when you are ready. So thank God all is good.
But it's funny. I'm thinking that, are you going to really admit that you had them or they didn't give it to you? So you ate our sushi rolls on the way home.
I told them they probably wouldn't make it all the way back. So
right.
Better to leave it for you to come next time. Let's follow up on some previous conversations we had on Behind the Bima. One of the last episodes of the last season before the summer, we had on Leah Golden, the mother of Hadar Golden of blessed memory, who was unjustly murdered, captured, and is still, his body is being held hostage by Hamas in Gaza. And Leah Golden reached out to us this week to say that Congress right now is considering appropriating money to the rebuilding of Gaza after the last war Gaza initiated with the launching of thousands and thousands of rockets at Israel. Israel had to defend herself, but Gaza struggled as a result. That's why the residents of Gaza, if anybody wants to really stand up for Palestinians or those living in Gaza, it's actually by dismantling and confronting Hamas, not by taking the side of Hamas. Anyway, Leah Golden reached out to say that as Congress is considering allocating money to the rebuilding of Gaza, now is a time for Congress to condition that money on the return of Hadar's body. His is not the only one, but of course she's concerned for her son and for the return of those who are unjustly being held hostage. So those who heard that interview definitely feel her pain, her leadership. If you haven't, you could go back and listen to it. But all of us, contact your local official, contact your Congress people, and let them know that before they're willing to allocate any money to the rebuilding of Gaza, to make it conditional on the return of those bodies. They're violating all international law. It is immoral, it is unjust, it is unethical, and it's causing unbearable pain to Hadar's family, who simply want closure. They want to be able to grieve and mourn. They're not going to get their son back alive, but they can get his body back and at least have a place to be able to visit.
And the moment feels right. As you said, it's being discussed in Congress now, which obviously we have to lean on our American officials. But I also read an article in Times of Israel this week that Israel, in their negotiations with the Egyptians and the Palestinians in Gaza, that this is actively being discussed right now. So if there was a time to pressure our local officials, our governmental officials, and even people that we know in Israel to make this happen and to utilize the moment, this would be the time to use our voices.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Everyone's always looking for something to do, and we're giving you something that's so easy. It couldn't be any easier, and you can actually make a difference. Just tell your friends to make a phone call, write an email.
It's a great point. It's a great point. Go back to the Malcolm Hoenlein episode. This is like a revisit of all our old episodes. But the Malcolm Hoenlein episode, when he talked about how you got involved in leadership, and you're right, people are always like, give me something to do, give me an action item. I want to make a difference. And you think that your phone call won't make the difference, but you have no idea which is the tipping point, which is the phone call that registers with that elected official that makes them pick up their phone or change their vote or makes them aware of a topic that they didn't even know beforehand. Gentlemen, it's pretty impressive. Last week's episode, we went a full hour without saying the C word. And we're going to do it again. We're not talking about COVID. COVID is a hawk. Everybody talks about it all the time. There are things to talk about. There are considerations. There are policies, there are personal choices we have to make, but we've got to make them and not perseverate on them.
Right.
I don't know about you. I'm so sick and tired. Everywhere you go, every conversation is what do you think and which side are you on and how do you interpret the data and what do you think the policy should be and trying to forecast what's going to happen. We've all become epidemiologists. Everybody's become an infectious disease specialist overnight. And we are committed here on Behind the Bima to not talk about COVID. Again, we have policies and we have planning that we have to do, particularly for the high holidays, but we are not going to make it a centerpiece of our show. So what else do you want to talk about? What is on your minds before we talk about the special guest, the greatest closer of all time? And this episode couldn't come at a better time, as just last night, the Yankees moved into the wild card spot, went ahead of the Boston Red Sox. They gained 9 games in the last 24 days on the Boston Red Sox. Red Sox are collapsing. The Yankees are surging, and our guest couldn't come at a better time.
Basically, since I watched the Red Sox play the Yankees in Fenway Park about 25 days ago, everything's been downhill since then. So I brought the bad luck. But I do want to go back to something you just said. And I know we're not going to talk about COVID, but we're going to talk about COVID for a second. And the reason is because I want to take our listeners behind the Bima. And I want them to appreciate that we're not minimizing COVID for a second. And we understand how significant it is and how significant the decisions that need to be made. But I don't know about you guys. I'm personally at a point where, as you said, we have to make those decisions. We have to do it responsibly. But I'm done talking about it, because what I don't think people understand is every moment that Rabbi Ephraim Goldberg and Rabbi Josh Brody and Rabbi Philip Moskowitz are speaking about COVID, whether it's in text messages or WhatsApps, we're not doing something else. And I'm just at a point now, we have to make the decisions. We have to do it responsibly, but we also have to focus on other things. And we have to focus on the things that matter in our lives and our rabbinate, and to be pivoting elsewhere, because every minute that you're questioning and you're emailing and you're texting, it's just a distraction from other things. So I'm not minimizing it. And I understand the significance and importance of it. And always you could reach out, but just understand why it is that we're almost at wit's end with this topic, because we do want to move to other things and we want to be thinking on a slightly broader, vision and for the future.
And we're not shutting down or stifling conversation. Of course, we welcome people's input or constructive ideas or criticism when it will be helpful. But we want it to be actionable. Rabbi Brody, you shared with me last week, a colleague had sent a text saying, "Do you think like everyone's going out of their mind at this point? Are you noticing that people are going crazy?" And I'm definitely noticing that people are at their wits' end. They have fatigue from the decisions, fatigue from this pandemic, and they're lashing out. They're acting out. They're almost irrationally behaving. Like, there are people, maybe myself among them, we're at the end. It's enough already.
I'll tell you.
So we're not talking about it, right?
We're not talking about it, but I'll tell you that I've been taking Ubers in different cities and different states across the country over the last few weeks, been traveling a lot. And I get into the Uber and it's clear that the Uber driver has a very definite opinion. It's very clear on where he stands. I just want to get from point A to point B. Very angry about something. And they start naming different politicians in their cities and their states. And I'm trying to figure out which side they're on so I can agree with them. I don't want to get into an argument.
You're worried about your Uber rating. I once wrote an article
all about the Uber rating.
Exactly. Does everybody know that not only do you rate your drivers rate you? That's one of the great moments where you hold a mirror to yourself when you open your Uber app and you check your Uber rating, because everyone thought they were in the driver's seat. Obviously, metaphorically, the Uber driver is, and you think you're the one rating the driver. You're the one who's influencing or impacting his brand or her brand or how they're perceived by the next passenger. But if you open the Uber app, should everyone open their Uber app right now?
I'm 479. I just looked.
What's your Uber rating?
493.
479. So
479, 493. Where do you see it?
You have to click on the top left.
And I am 480.
Yeah.
Wow. Of course, you beat me by 0.1.
So that means that your driver also wants to know. Did you say please? Did you say thank you? Are you yapping on the phone in the back the whole time? Do you agree with them on COVID?
I agree with everything they say.
So
I get out of the car. My first thing I say is that was a 5-star ride. I love it. Even though I was literally 20 minutes late today, 5-star. I'm not letting it jeopardize my star.
Exactly. It's so funny you say that. And I think I wrote this in that article, is that when the moment I realized that they're rating me, I started giving everyone 5 stars.
Right.
Because I realized I want 5 stars. Give the benefit of the doubt. There was one that we had a big dilemma. Rabbi Brody, you and I were in this
I'll never forget. Philly.
We were at a wedding, all dressed to the nines, and we called an Uber, and the Uber comes, we get in the car. It was summer. It was about 4 million degrees and 1,000% humidity. And the Uber driver's like, "I'm so sorry, my air conditioning's broken, but you can lower the window." I'm like, excuse me?
You're-
She's like, yeah, the air conditioning broke. You can lower the window. And I just sat there the entire ride thinking, this could be like a single mom fighting to keep food on the table, roof over her head. She doesn't have the money to fix the air conditioning. Just give her a 5-star review and give her a nice tip. And the other piece of you is like, I don't know, you're an Uber driver. Shouldn't that be a warning before you get picked up?
Nah,
Maybe we're
give the
on the way to
5-star.
the wedding and
Give
we
the
didn't want to show up.
5-star.
Were we on the
No,
way
but
to
it
the
was
wedding?
hot. The windows were down. The hot air is blowing in your face.
Right. You spend the
5-star.
entire ride alternating between closing the window so the hot air is not blowing in your face, but then lowering it because you're suffocating and you want to breathe. And those are the moments, like, I don't know, should the senses, it's like, our relationship with the Almighty. Do we want his right, the hand of justice, the left
Right.
hand? Like, okay, justice is the AC is broken. There's no way you're getting good rating. You didn't warn me. I had no knowledge. I would have said different car. Or is it the right hand? Is it the hand of rachamim, of compassion? Who knows what she's going through? Not her fault.
No.
Just
Give
I
a
remember-
5-star
cut everyone
rating.
slack.
These people, everyone's working hard. Everyone's doing their best to give the 5-star rating every time.
Let me tell you
5-star?
something. Yeah, but you know what? When my kids started taking Ubers, I was very adamant. Either use your mom's Uber account or get your own Uber accounts, because I know that you're not going to do it with what I would expect. You're not going to say thank you necessarily. I'm not judging my kids, but you know
Your
what? You're not
children
gonna-
all will still thank you.
Right, but I'm just saying you're not going to go overboard for that 5-star, and
Understood.
therefore get your own account.
Right. There's so much. There's actually a lot to unpack here because is it competitive? Like, why do we care? So I'm a 4.8, and you're what are you 4?
I'm a 9.3.
7-9.
4.93, 4.8, and 4.79. So why do we care? Why do we care? Are you worried?
Because I
that
feel like
Bima
it's a
is not gonna pick
judgment
you up?
on who I am. Like I feel like some guy and woman is judging how nice I am,
Right.
how friendly I am.
So it's judgment day. Open your Uber and you'll
And I'm
figure
apparently
out what
less friendly than all of you guys.
you want to know what the world thinks of you. Open your Uber app and look at your Uber rating, and it is a big wake-up call. But I'll tell you this: whatever people think of us, everyone thinks about Mariano Rivera, Mo the Sandman, that he is not only a Hall of Fame baseball player, he is a Hall of Fame human being. Now, when Mariano Rivera agrees, and I want to thank our special friend who arranged for this conversation, when Mariano Rivera agrees to be interviewed, you work on his schedule. So there's two things behind the Bima prides itself on. Number one, that we come to you live. We're sharing. We're not recorded. Nobody edits out our conversation. We don't publish it later. We don't take out all the ums or take out the conversation where we lost you for a minute. This is who we are. We're coming to you live. But the second thing is that we don't pay anybody, not one penny. In the history of Behind the Bima, we have not paid one guest one penny. We want the people who want to be with us and want to bring their message to you. So we usually come to you live, but the conversation with Mariano, with Mo, was recorded recently in advance. And we have the opportunity, therefore, though, to frame it and to give you a context. Mo is a Hall of Fame baseball player, 5 times World Series champion, 13-time All-Star. He can't say one sentence without using God's name. He cannot say one sentence without talking about the Lord, without talking about God. And it's important to give a context to this conversation. Mariano Rivera, in case you didn't know, is not Jewish. So why is Behind the Bima? Why is our show having someone who's not Jewish? Isn't it a Jewish show, Behind the Bima? And the answer is no. You know, the Rambam writes, Maimonides writes, you take truth from whoever says it, whoever gives it. When you are on a quest for truth, when you have an appetite to grow, then you listen to truth wherever you get it from. And Mariano is a source that we can get it from, number one. Number two, the Jewish people, and particularly those who love Israel, cannot rely on the Jewish people alone. When we have friends in other communities, allies, people who love Israel, who can make a difference financially and with their enormous microphone, we embrace those friends and we cultivate that friendship and we express that gratitude because that friendship cannot be taken for granted. And when Israel or the Jewish people, the Jewish community is alone in the world, we need those friends. And Mariano Rivera is one of those friends. So I'm not apologetic or defensive. I want to share with you some context to this great conversation. And I want to promise you that you will leave it inspired by his approach to family, his approach to baseball, the game, his approach to God and his relationship with God. And I'll say this lastly, as we bring on the greatest closer of all time, Mariano Rivera, even Rabbi Philip Moskowitz, a Yankee, perhaps the greatest Yankee hater I ever met, by the time we were done with this conversation, fell in love. Rabbi Moskowitz, did you fall in love with Mo?
He is hard not to like, and he is hard not to like. He is a good person. He's a mensch. He's got his priorities right. And even as someone, and this is hard to admit, and I'm going to eat this at later stages of my life, I really like Mariano Rivera.
And with that, I couldn't even have a better introduction. Our great pleasure to bring on the greatest closer in the history of baseball, one of the great Yankees of all time, Mariano Rivera. What an honor and a privilege it is to have with us one of my childhood heroes. I've been a Yankee fan my entire life, but Mariano Rivera, Mr. Rivera, Mo, Sandman, I'm not even sure what to call you, but it is an enormous honor to have you on, not only for your baseball achievements, but I think more for who you are as a person, for your lifetime achievements, for your human achievements, for your personal achievements. Thank you so much for being with us.
Rabbi, thank you. Thank you for having me. I mean, it's a privilege and honor for me to be with you guys. And I mean, I'm delighted to have this time with you guys. And again, thank you for that introduction. But you can call me, anything. You can call me Mo, you can call Mariano, you can call me Sandman, you can call me anything.
Okay, perfect. Well, how about Hall of Famer unanimous? First unanimous, first ballot, Hall of Famer. How about we call you that? So, Mariano, Mo, let me begin with this question. 13-time All-Star, 5-time World Series champion, Major League leader in saves, unanimous first ballot Hall of Famer. You threw the cutter, a pitch that everyone knew was coming and nobody could hit. You've got it all. You're a philanthropist. You're generous, successful businessman. You married your childhood sweetheart, elementary school. You've got it all. And yet, you're incredibly humble. You're a modest person. You don't take personal credit. Every interview I've seen with you, every time you talk about it, you say it all comes from God. Where'd that come from? Who is the influence in your life that gave you that humility and that gave you that faith to be able to recognize that all the blessings and all the gifts, they come from above?
Well, Rabbi Goldberg, believe obviously that my parents, they were influenced on that. First of all, because coming from a small village in Panama, fishing village, and we don't have much. All right, so whatever we have to protect, we have to save, we have to, let's see, whatever they put on the table, you have to eat. So understanding that, and when the Lord brought me from Panama to play baseball in the United States, I knew that it wasn't because of my talent. It was just because He pleased. He just desired to bless me. And the rest is history. Therefore, I can never take credit for none of that stuff because I wasn't looking for baseball. I wasn't looking to be a professional, and He opened the door for me. And definitely, even if He didn't open the door for me, just to have the opportunity, I always will glorify the name of the Lord and just giving His glory because it was Him. But that's why it don't matter what happened or what I do, I would never take credit for me because I didn't do anything.
It's an amazing faith that you have, and to be so accomplished. There are people who are not accomplished at all, and yet everything that they achieve, they take credit, they take responsibility, they look for honor. You have it all, and you always use every opportunity. We would call, in Judaism, we call it a Kiddush Hashem, an opportunity to sanctify God's name and to give credit, to bring other people close to God, and you're a walking example. So sometimes it's easy to do that. You throw the strikeout in the 9th inning in the last game of the World Series, and your team jumps on the mound and huddles with you, and it's easy to point up and say, it's all you, God, thank you for that. What happens when you blow the save? What happens when you throw the pitch down the middle and the guy creams it over the fence or a blooper over your head? And what happens when it's not a moment of glory, it's a moment of failure? How do you remember it all comes from Him, even in those moments?
Oh, those are the moments. Those are the important moments for me, because I definitely understand that for me to be on top, I need to be in the valley. I have to understand what it feels to be in the valley for me to understand what it is to feel on top. Therefore, when those moments happen, there are teaching or just flat, they beat you. So I always make sure that those moments is when I give God the glory the most, because I know that He's trying to teach me something. I know that He wants me to see something, and I always wanted to see why was the reason. So I always wanted to find the why on the fit. So I didn't see myself as a loser or defeated. I always saw those moments as a learning process. The Lord is trying to teach me something. What is it? And sometimes it was not teaching. It was just that they flat out beat me. So understanding that, I always, because it's easy when everything goes right. Anybody can give glory to God when everything goes right. But what happens when everything is wrong? things that doesn't go in your way. What happened? He is still being God. He doesn't step out from being God. So I know God because things don't not going right for you. No, no, he's still being God. He's still the same God. So therefore, good or bad, we have to glorify the name of the Lord. And that's what we
Unbelievable. And to be in constant conversation with him. Did you talk to God a lot on the mound?
Oh yes. Oh yes. In the mound, in the bullpen, on the car, going to the stadium, going from the house. I mean, it's a constant conversation. And it's amazing because understanding, guys. I mean, for me, it's just understanding the moment, knowing where I was and know where he put me, where he brought me. He brought me to New York. He didn't bring me to Boston or LA. He brought me to New York, all right, where everything's happening. All right. He brought me to the New York Yankees, not the Mets. He brought me to the New York Yankees. All that stuff. And then he allowed me he gave me the pitch. He put me in the pinnacle of everything, and at the end, he put like a cherry in top of the ice cream that was Cooperstown with the 100% unanimous. I mean, come on, what God does that? All right. They have everything possible and make everything possible. So I always say that you have to take the good with the bad because it comes along the way, but good is always better.
And you really rolled with the punches. I want to get the other rabbis in here, but let me ask you. I know that in your career you thought you were going to be a starter, and then you didn't succeed as a starter, and you emerged in the bullpen and became the greatest closer of all time and will be for all time. And you threw one pitch. There was a Jewish Major League Baseball player who lives in Florida in Boca Raton in our community. I won't say his name. Played in the major leagues for several seasons. I met with him because he was going to play for the Israel team in the international games. So he told me the one question I wanted to know is when you faced Mariano Rivera, what did you think? And you know what he told me, Mo? He said, all of us know exactly what pitch was coming. We knew it was coming, and we knew we couldn't hit it. All we wanted is don't look stupid. That's what he said to me. All we thought was don't look stupid. Don't swing and miss and fall to the ground. Don't flail at the ball. You knew it was coming and you still couldn't hit it. So take us through that in your career when it didn't work out to be a starter and maybe you think maybe this isn't the path. Maybe this isn't what I was chosen to do. And yet it was the best thing that ever happened to you. It was the greatest gift because maybe you wouldn't have been the best starter of all time, but you end up discovering the one pitch, and that one pitch makes you the greatest closer of all time.
Rabbi, I was happy to be in the big leagues. I mean, I wasn't attached to the role of starter or a long reliever or perhaps a settlement or close it. I mean, I was just happy to be in the big leagues. If they tell me, okay, you have to clean the bases, well, I'll be happy to clean the bases. Because again, I remember where I was. I remember where I came from. I didn't have this opportunity. Now the Lord have granted me that opportunity to do this. I will do it gladly. Therefore, I wasn't attached to the role of starter. So they put me in the rotation. Fine. They took me out of the rotation. They put me in the long reliever. I accepted it. I did that. They put me in the settlement role. I accepted. I did it, and I put me in the closest role. That is where all that thing took the place because God wanted to put me in that place. But I had to learn from the rotation to the long reliever, the short reliever, and to where God wanted to put me. Okay, and then when he put me there, he equipped me. He gave me the quarter. I didn't find it. I wasn't like, okay, I did. No. God himself gave me the quarter. Therefore, that's why you guys was telling you, we know it's coming, but we can't hit it. I mean, come on. What major leaguer will tell you that I know some pitch is coming and I won't hit it? Right. No one. We're talking about. Think about this. We're talking about the best of the best from the whole world. They come to the United States to play the best baseball there is in the world. So those guys are professional. And if you're gonna tell him, okay, this pitch is coming, I guarantee you that they miss maybe one. But the second pitch and the third pitch, it will be over the fence and far over the fence. But they couldn't do it. And they knew what's coming. For 17 years, guys. Come on. You think that I did that? It's impossible.
I just want to throw in there that even had you played for the Boston Red Sox, that would have been a blessing from God also. I just want to throw that out there. I want to pivot, though, to something that Rabbi Goldberg mentioned, and that is Israel. In many of your interviews, and I know you've taken trips there, you have been outspoken in your support of Israel. And I'm just curious for our listeners, have you ever received criticism for taking a position on a topic that unfortunately, for some reason, could be very polarizing? And what gave you the fortitude? What gave you the courage to speak out in support of Israel?
Well, Rabbi Philip, I'll tell you that. Yes, I receive a lot of criticism, but I don't care. I mean, that's my faith. I can never turn my back on Israel. I love Israel. As a matter of fact, my wife told me if we can move there tomorrow, she would be happy there. You know? So therefore, that's where I stand for Israel. That's what I believe for Israel. That's what I believe that God has given us voice and stand firm for what we believe. I mean, people, they believe in other things. That's fine with me. I have no problem with that. But my belief and my religion, you have to respect.
So how do you shut that out? How do you shut it out when you're facing criticism on social media or in the news, or how do you block that out and maintain your own convictions? Because there are a lot of young people on college campuses that face the hatred and face the anti-Semitism, and it's hard for them. What message could you give to them to give them the strength to?
Well, my message that I can give to them is that they have to stay firm. They have to continue. It's not about violence. It's about what you believe. And if you believe on that, well, you stay firm on that. Okay, it's nothing to go left or right. It's just what you believe. You believe on the sun. You believe on the moon. Well, that's what you believe. So stay firm on you believe. But if you thought you're receiving criticism and you start, okay, now I'm afraid because this, you're gonna have tough times. You're gonna have tough places where they're gonna criticize you. But that's your faith. That's your faith. You're gonna change because you receive criticism? I don't think so. I don't believe on that. Therefore, I stay firm. Yes, that's what I believe. That's my religion, and I wanna live and die for that.
It's powerful. How many times have you been to Israel?
3 times. I can't wait to go the 4th one.
What's your favorite place that you visited? What was the
Jerusalem.
favorite experience in Israel?
Jerusalem. Just going to Jerusalem, to me, seeing the city of David, to me, it's like bring me all back to the Old Testament, and then seeing to me it's fascinating. It
came alive.
Oh my God!
Isn't it amazing? You watch the news here and you think that Israel's dangerous or it's terrible. There's a lot of hate and violence, and you walk through the streets of Israel. There's light, there's love, there's peace. There's people who just want peace and live in peace, and there's holy spirituality. You feel it in the streets, right?
That's it. It's amazing. To me, it's no other place like Israel. No other place.
That's great.
Wow.
That's good.
So,
Yes.
Mariano, first of all, you made some rabbis very, very happy today. I can't even tell you. When I talk about a lifelong dream, there are some people watching that are really, really, really excited. So
Thank you, Rabbi Josh.
this is really special. When you started playing professional sports, I watched an interview and you said you didn't even know some of the greats of baseball. So,
That's true.
I have to admit, and they will tell you, and a lot of the viewers are going to say, I don't really know a lot about baseball. I'm not really a sports guy, but I started watching you, and I started watching some of the baseball games you've been in, and I got so excited. I see Metallica, and I see Enter Sandman coming on, and I'm like, wow. Oh. And then I started wondering, what's with the Enter Sandman? And they say, well, you were able to put them all to bed. I said, you actually have a lot in common with some of the rabbis, because some of the rabbis also have to start speaking. We'll go there. But I have a question. You spoke in one of the interviews about how when you were just a child and you were playing baseball with your friends, you had to find a branch that was hopefully straight enough that would resemble a baseball bat. And you had to make a mitt out of a piece of cardboard, and you had to build a little ball from clothing, right? You had to put it all together. And it was so fun. You really enjoyed it. Everyone that was playing was really having a great time. And you become an incredibly famous and the most successful baseball player, shattering all the records. What's next? In other words, do you believe you hit it with your professional career? Was the professional career just an opportunity to explore different relationships that you have with God? Where did you get to, and where do you want to go with this?
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you, Rabbi Josh, for that question, because it's great. Not that the other questions are not, but this is powerful to me because I mean, yeah, baseball was the platform that the Lord gave me to glorify His name. Okay, baseball was just a vehicle to glorify His name because He wanted to put me in a different scenario, different platform. So what we're doing now is I'm working a lot with the community, especially in New Rochelle. We're building a learning center. Why a learning center? Why I'm passionate for a learning center? Well, because I mean we want to give those underserved youth opportunity to to have a chance to be different. We have to invest on these youngsters. Okay, we need to if that is my future, where I need to invest in my future. I need to make sure that my future is going to be okay for the just for the next generation. Therefore, because the learning center, we're gonna help those to have that type of future, you know, and that's my challenge. That is my desire. Besides the church, obviously, the community, the foundation, but family, but this learning center that we are about to build is my safe number 653. Okay, I have 652 Macaria, 653 is because this means a lot. This is changing lives. This is creating opportunities for those. This is real. This is life. Okay, I was playing a game, and I don't say that's real. I love it. I still love it, and I will die loving the game of baseball. But this is different game. This is like the game of life, changing life, meaningful for these youngsters that don't have voices, they don't have feet, they don't have hands. You know, I become their feet, their hands, their mouth, because I mean, I believe in them. I believe that they need another opportunity. I mean, someone gave me another opportunity. I take advantage of it. You know, and look where the Lord brought me. You know, that's all I want. To create opportunity for these youngsters so the Lord can do a miracle in their life and they become as successful. Maybe we have the next president of the United States in these youngsters. So we don't know. But one thing I know that I'm gonna do everything within my power and praying till I have no breath for the Lord to grant that opportunity and bless us with everything that we need to be successful with these youngsters. So that's what we're doing. By the way, guys, I mean, I need your help that I'm raising some funds to build that learning center. So if you guys know people, let me know.
Absolutely. Listen, Mariano, that's why you're not just a Hall of Fame pitcher. You're a Hall of Fame human being from this life that you're living. You know, we have this impression. So many other athletes, particularly the most successful among them, they live life where they're takers. They want take more. I'm a celebrity. Give me honor. I deserve. I'm entitled. And you talk all about being of service, making a difference, changing the world, repairing the world, making it a better place, giving it to other people. Where did you get that from? Who inspired you? You mentioned your parents, obviously your modest childhood, but a lot of people, they move on. They distance themselves from that. They're almost embarrassed to still be connected. Instead of being embarrassed, you're going back and you're continuing to give back. Can you give us a message about being a life of service, of taking the talents and skills and the platform and the opportunity you have and using it to make the world a better place?
I mean, it's not about taking, it's not about receiving. It's greater blessing when you give. When it's different giving, when you give with your heart. That's what I'm talking about. Because when you give with your heart, not expecting something in return, that's the greatest gift that you can give someone. And that's what I understood. I understood that the Lord has given me opportunity that took me from my small, beautiful home village in Panama to put me in a place that I never even imagined. Okay, so now I have the opportunity again to be the mouth, the feet, the hand of these less fortunate boys and girls. Who won't do that? I don't care whoever don't do it. Mariano Rivera, he will continue doing that until the Lord take me away, because that's what I believe. I mean, again, I didn't have a dime. I don't have a penny when I was down in Panama playing baseball with those branches, with those cardboard with those baseball made out of old clothing, to where the Lord, and I keep it saying, the Lord put me in this spot, put me and give me the platform that I have. I can do nothing or say nothing but serve.
That's beautiful.
Wow.
I want to ask you another baseball. Could we go back to baseball for one moment? So, in life we get flustered because life throws us curveballs and life throws us cutters, and life can get us flustered. On the mound, you were very known for being very even-keeled, very steady. You didn't celebrate too much, and you didn't react negatively, and you didn't react at umpires or batters or base runners. You just even-keeled. You just rolled with the punches. One of the great Mariano Rivera quotes I love is when asked about the game, you said, "They hand me the ball, I throw the ball, I take a shower." That's your job. So how do we, whatever job we're in life or whatever role we're in life, with our family, with a pandemic that came our way, with whatever life throws our way that we don't expect, how do we keep that same steady, that we don't fluctuate too much, that we don't celebrate and we don't get too down, but we're able to just stay steady all along and not allow anything to fluster us?
We have to understand who we are. We have to understand who we trust and the ability that he has given us to accept whatever role we have. All right. So the important things is about life and in sport and anything that we do, we have to understand who we are, what we want, okay, and who I trust. Because that's important for me. That's the way I always thought. I trusting on my Lord. He's giving me the ability to do this job. And I believe and I use the tools he has given me. So sometimes I'm gonna fail, yes, but many times I'm gonna be successful. Therefore, I take the chances. We have to understand the abilities that we have in life and what are our goals and our strength. So is my strength is doing this? Well, I'm gonna stay in my strength. My weaknesses I will work, but my strength I'm gonna master. And if my strength I master, why should I worry about things that I don't control? I don't. That's the way I thought. That's the way I always keep thinking and working in my life. I don't worry about things that I don't control. I worry about things that I control. Okay, and I will do my best, strictly my best to make it work. All right. If it doesn't work, well, I did my best. One thing I ask my life, one thing I ask always is I was prepared mentally and physically for the moment. And when I was doing it, that I did everything possible. So if those answers will be yes, the rest is not in my hand.
What was it like with your team? What was it like with your teammates? Obviously, close with Pettit, Jeter, so we don't talk about them specifically, although we'd be happy to host them on our show too. But what was it like with all your teammates in the locker room, in the dugout, on the road, in the hotels? Here you are, a person of great faith, and I'm sure that also impacted who you are as a family man, and the role of God in your life and humility in your life. That's not typical in sports, professional sports. I don't think it is. So did your teammates say, like, Mo, enough with God? Mo, enough with whatever? How did you bring your religion, your faith? How'd that impact the relationship with teammates? Maybe after a loss, everyone else is down on the plane home, and you're saying, hey, everybody, this was God's will, move on. And they say, how did that work, bringing it to your teammates?
Rabbi, another great question, because that to me, my relationship with my teammates and my team was impeccable. It was amazing. I never stopped talking about the Lord, never. But I know how to approach my teammates, how to talk about the Lord in moments, hard moments, tough moments, easy moments, happy moments. I always brought the Lord, because it's everything about me. It's all about the Lord. It's not 1 ounce of me that cannot talk about the Lord. All right. So if you call me and tell me, okay, Mariano, you need to go to school and I want you to speak, but you cannot talk about the Lord, I will tell you, listen, I'm sorry, but if you want me in your school, I will talk about the Lord, because I can't. So therefore, my teammates knew that. My teammates knew that I love them. My teammates knew that I respect them. My teammates knew that I was there with them 1,000%. I was in the battle with them 1,000%. And even though in times when things were hard, who they call to pray? Who do you think they call? They call me to pray. So in some point, knowing behind in their mind that we have someone here connected with the Lord. No, that's something that is important for me. That is, my teammates not only see the sport man of me, but the spiritual man of me. They knew they can count with me at any time with anything, and we will be there. I will never judge them. I will support them. So my teammates have that all in me. So that's why my teammates can never say, "Oh man, Mo was this, Mo was that." Never. As a matter of fact, they will say, "No, Mo was right." I know that.
It's such an important message actually for our listeners because look, as Jews we worship the same God and we have a lot of overlap, although very important differences as well. But our relationship with the Christian community and with the non-Jewish community, it's so critically important to make the world a better place. And the message for our listeners that you could be a religious Jew, with the mutual friend that we have who helped set up this interview that I'm so grateful for, is a great example. And there are many others who wear a yarmulke on their head, who go to work, and who can be practicing observant Jews who are religious and faithful and spiritual and not compromising the work they do. So here you talk about being a Hall of Fame New York Yankee baseball player, winning world champions without having to hold back or compromise who you are spiritually. All of us can go out and do it, and we don't have to be shy in the workplace. We shouldn't try to force that on anyone else, but we have the opportunity to share it with others. And as you just said, your teammates appreciated it. And I wonder, since you left baseball, have some of those teammates called you and said, "You were right," or "I've gotten more religious or spiritual," or "I need your help, I'm in trouble, I need you to pray with me"?
Yeah, so I have the opportunity to talk to Jason Jambi. I always talk to him about the Lord, and he always was making fun and things. I understood to aggravated me, but at the same time, that word was doing the work. That seed that was planted was doing the work, and now he's serving the Lord and working for the Lord. The same thing, Dara Strawberry, amazing. I mean, we can never be shy of who we are and what we trust and who we trust, because we don't know what the Lord can do. Situation. The hardest man, a killer, serial killer. It don't matter. You talk to him about the Lord. God has the last word. God can use anyone to glorify His name. So therefore, I always believe and always understand that the Lord have us here in this world for a purpose. So every time that we have opportunity to speak about Him, we have to. I don't force it, like you said, Rabbi. I don't force it, but I will take my chances.
Mo, can I ask you about one of the great rivalries in sports? And
Yes.
that is obviously the Red Sox-Yankees rivalry, of which you were at the epicenter of. And sometimes I feel like fans take the rivalry a little bit more seriously than the players do.
Yes.
But what lessons can you share with our audience about how we could treat each other a little bit nicer that you may have learned through the rivalry? We live in such a polarized world where you're either this or you're that. You're Democrat, you're Republican, you're Red Sox or Yankees or Mets or whatever the team is. And sometimes you box someone in a corner and you speak to someone in a more derogatory way, or you don't treat them with respect because they're the other team or the other party. As someone who was in the middle of that rivalry and some of the greatest years of that rivalry, what are some lessons that you learned, that you picked up along the way about how we could all get along a little bit better, treat each other with a little bit more respect, see the entire person, not just one part of them, and hopefully bridge some bridges between people on different sides of spectrums?
Well, Rabbi, the problem is that, yes, like you said, the fans take it to a different level, because even the players, I mean, sometimes we go to dinner after the game or lunch after the next day. So, I mean, we understand that it's a rivalry, but it's a game also. And we give the best for each team. Me for the Yankees and David Ortiz for Boston Red Sox. But at the end, we respect. At the end, we we share time, we speak, we share meals. That means that we together. It's okay. We're playing again, and we're doing the best for our team. But at the end, hey, we want to celebrate. We want to enjoy. We want to enjoy life. We want to. Okay, what's going on? Yeah, what's going on with you in Boston? What's going on with you in with the Yankees? What it is? What happened in New York? What it's. I mean, we share, and that's the thing. That besides at the game, we are human beings. You know what I mean? I don't understand why we have to go to the level of hate because I'm a Yankee or you are a Red Sox. It don't matter because, I mean, again, in Boston, I have a lot of friends, a lot of great friends. Even the fans there, they treat me like gold. They treat me great. I mean, yeah, during the heat of the battle in the game, they tell me how I'm gonna die and how things and how I'm gonna resurrect and all that stuff. you know. But I understood it was part of the game. But I respect that. They respect me. Okay, so we get along. Once we understand that I have to respect you, you respect me, whatever else is we can deal with it. All right. And that's the thing that sometimes the fans take it to a different level. Alcohol is involved in on all that stuff. And when alcohol take part of your emotions, well, you're done. The rest is easy.
So it's about developing a relationship with the person, even if they're different than you. It's taking the time, getting to know them, learning to respect them in the process.
That's it, Rabbi. That's it. That's the most important thing. Just developing a relationship. You say that right. It don't matter if you love white or I love red. It don't matter. But the point is that I respect you. I don't gonna judge you. And you love, I love the Yankees and you love the Rex as well. That's okay. You know, but we need to understand and respect that. Again, I have so many great friends in Boston. They respect me.
You have one more friend from Boston today.
They used to tell me, Mariano, you're in the wrong thing. You belong with us. I said, yeah, I understand, but no, I'm happy with the Yankees. Okay. And they said, okay. But we're gonna beat you today. I said, okay, I take that because I'm thinking the same. I'm gonna beat you today. So
That's
it was
great.
a great relationship. I mean, a great friendship. I still connected with some of them. And again, you have to respect it. You have to give uh, glory to deserve glory. I mean, honors to deserve honors, and that's the simple the way it is. Do respect.
Well, I thank God that you ended up on the Yankees. That's for sure. You've
Me
been
too.
you've been amazingly generous with your time, and we don't want to take too much of it. But I want to ask you a question about being a family man. I know that your family means the world to you, and how committed and devoted you are to them. And again, maybe it's an anomaly. It's unusual for a professional athlete, or at least that's our impression, to be married to so long to your childhood sweetheart who you know forever, and to build a beautiful family together. Especially when you had a job and a career that took you on the road, that took you away from the home. So what are some of the things that you learned about what does it mean to be a good father, a family person, how family can come first even while you're ambitious, even while you're chasing your career and you're trying to be the best you can at what you do, to still make sure that your family is important?
Well, Rabbi, you have to have a team within the team. You have to have a team, and the most important team is your home team. Okay, your wife, your kids. That's the really team that you have to have. That's the real team that you have to have. Because I mean, I thank God for my wife. Because I mean, you said it, Rabbi. I mean, I was away for so long. I mean, I played baseball for 24 years, but in 24 years, I mean, my wife most of the time had to be along with the kids. So she literally raised the kids herself. So she did a tremendous job raising our kids. Because I mean, playing baseball, trying to be with the family, trying to fly the family to the states that we were playing, it's not easy. It's not easy, But she stayed firm, and she was like pillar for me, in my career. Because I mean, without her, obviously I have the Lord, but the Lord put her on my path, so she can be that other half that will support me and be there for me. Because I mean, I don't think that without my wife, we would accomplish all these things. Because again, she was critical, she was pillar, she was a rock on my team. and that allowed me to focus more on the game, to be more in tune with the game because I know that I have someone that I can trust back home. So that's the one thing that we need to have as an athlete or or a businessman, that you know that you count with someone home, some great team home, that when things, even when things go right or things go wrong, you know that they have your back. And it's so important for us to have that, and, you know, and especially your kids. For example, when we lost, when I lost the game in 2001 World Series game, it was hard. It was difficult. Yes, I mean, I did everything within my power to win the game, and it didn't happen. So when I came home, I I was going approaching my room, and there was a trophy there for one of my kids. My older boy put a trophy there, saying that I got you. You know, and that to
Wow.
me is more than anything. You know, every time that I have a bad day at the stadium, I come home, it's that we're with you. You know, that changed everything. You know, that motivate you to keep pushing forward, to continue, because you have a great team. And again, without that great team, I don't know if we would accomplish what we accomplished.
What another
Wow.
blessing in your life. Who was the batter that you liked to face the least? Which was the batter that you
Edgar
said, "Oh no"?
Martinez. Edgar
Yeah.
Martinez. Amazing, man. Edgar was so good. But it's again, you know, and such a great guy that it's hard. He don't desire you to get him out. You just wish, hey man, get to first base and that's it. Don't get no home run. Get to first base and that's it. You know, get your single. And I'm happy with that. You know, a great person, great human being, great player. And but Edgar Martinez was the guy that I didn't want to see too much in the play.
Let me
What's
ask
one
you-
moment that stands out out of 17 years? New York Yankees. What's one moment that stands out as the crowning achievement?
One moment that stand out, you might think, okay, it's a moment against the Red Sox. No, it wasn't that moment. You know what the moment stand out? Me wearing the uniform. I was so proud in 10-4 dynasty, all what the New York Yankees represent. That when I was put in that uniform, to me it was amazing. So I always was. That was my moment, being there wearing the Yankees uniform for 19 seasons. It was no greater moment than in the field, because in the field, maybe it was me that I did something, all right? But wearing the uniform, I didn't do anything. The Lord just blessed me to be there and wear that uniform for 19 seasons, guys. Man, I was the last guy on the clubhouse getting dressed, putting that jersey, unbutton it, and then button from the top to bottom, one button at a time. That was like, I'm good. I'm good. This is my moment. So it wasn't on the field. It was just off the field, just wearing the uniform pinstripes, the New York Yankees pinstripes.
Mariano Rivera, Mo Sandman, Mr. Rivera, Hall of Fame human being. We can't thank you enough for your time. Such inspirational words and your support. You know, as we said, there are significant differences religiously, but on the other hand, we worship the same God. And to bring people closer to Him, to stand
Yes.
for His values and His vision, to support Israel, your support of the Jewish community, it means
Yes.
the world to us. We can't thank you enough for it. We're here to help you, and we wish you lots of luck and blessing in the efforts that you're doing now, the Learning Center, and all else that you're doing. We want to thank you for being with us, and we thank the God for God for putting you in this world and putting you on the greatest dynasty, the greatest team in the history of sports, and for all the moments and all the joy that you brought us. And we thank you. If you ever find yourself in South Florida in Boca Raton, we'd love to play a round of golf with you. We'd love to host you. We'd love to see you in person. Thank you so much
All
for
right,
your
Rabbi.
time.
Thank you, guys. Blessing, okay?
Thank
Blessing.
you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
so much.
All right.
Thank
We are back, and I hope that you saw this was an incredible interview. He really is a special person, and he really communicated some really special ideas. Gentlemen, what was your favorite part of that conversation? What left the greatest impression on you?
Well, as we started off, it's hard not to love Mariano Rivera, his commitment to faith, his commitment to family, his commitment to Israel. There was one story that jumped out at me. It was the story that is shared at the end from the 2001 World Series when he came home and he was feeling dejected and he was feeling bad about himself. And he comes to his room and his son had put a trophy there letting him know that he still loves him and he still supports him. And I love that because it made him so real. It made him vulnerable. And it shows the type of person that he is and the type of children that he is raising. And so for anyone in a public position who we sometimes succeed and we sometimes don't succeed, and it's important to remember what our priority is, and that's our family. I loved that story.
And of all the teams that we're on, the home team is the most important. Right, Rebbitzins? The home team is the most important.
Exactly.
Wow.
Rabbi Brody?
I love the part how he says that when he travels to a place like Boston and there's this rivalry that exists between the fans, and he says it's really just between the fans. I go out for lunch, we'll go out for dinner, the other players, we create these barriers, we create these walls between us in so many areas of our life, and it's just a facade. It's not real, and we just need to break those down. I understand for the purpose of competition, you want to create that environment, but it's a game. It's at the end of the day, it's just a game.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite moments is when he put it in perspective and he said, baseball is a game, but the learning center, that's my life. And that was also really impressive. There were so many great moments, praying to God on the mound, not being afraid to talk to teammates about the role of God in his life. There were a lot of great moments, his humble beginnings and not taking credit for anything. Even the cutter, that pitch is clearly from God. One of my favorite moments when he said, God brought me from Panama and he didn't put me in Boston. He put me in New York, and he didn't put me on the Mets. He put me on the Yankees. And I shouldn't feel grateful to God. What a great moment.
We alienated half our listenership with that line, but but that's okay.
Half.
What was it like for you, Rabbi Goldberg? Your childhood, so much of your life was spent watching him. He's obviously someone who you revere. What was it like speaking to him?
Listen, speaking to him was fantastic. As he said, and as I've grown older, I certainly realize baseball is just a game. I'm not like diehard. If I've watched 3 innings of baseball this entire year, it's a lot. I'm, a Yankee fan through and through. There was some great Gedolei Yisrael who acknowledged that in their youth were Yankee fans as well. So they didn't follow anymore. So it's not about the baseball. It's about who he is as a person, a Hall of Fame human being. I had known that. I'd seen interviews with him after he retired. He got all those accolades, first ever unanimously voted into the Hall of Fame. And every time he credits God. And I was blown away by that. So it's not a matter of having, there are other people who are on the Yankees who we're not trying to get them behind the Bima, because even though they were great baseball players, I don't want to talk about baseball per se. But with him, it's not about the baseball. It's about who he is as a person and some of the perspective that he has on life. And that part was exciting. Like Bob Kraft when he was on. Yeah, big Patriots owner, Patriots winner. Of course, those moments were excited when we heard that from him. But it's when Bob Kraft is sharing his favorite Pirkei Avos, and he's talking about why he supports Israel or what his wife of blessed memory meant to him and what she taught him about giving charity. Those are the moments. So for us, it's going behind the Bima with the people, not just what their skill set was. And that's what we're going to be doing in the next couple of weeks as well. We have our great teacher of Moshe Weinberger, an outstanding human being. And of course, that's who we turn to for our teaching, our great men and women, our great sages in our tradition. And the week after, Sheryl Sandberg, the COO of Facebook, who has her own wisdom, traditional Jewish woman, has her own wisdom to share. We go behind the Bima to extract the truth, the wisdom, the inspiration from people who are living different lives. I mean, when you're Mariano Rivera, you're living a different life. You have a different angle, perspective. You're the CEO of Facebook. You have a different perspective. There's wisdom, the things for us to glean, the things for us to learn.
Wow.
I love that.
I lost for words.
No, I was thinking because, I was thinking back to what Rabbi Brody said about how his favorite part was the Boston, the Yankees, the rivalry. I get a lot of questions because I have in my background 2 bobblehead dolls, actually, one Red Sox, one Yankees. And part of the reason why I leave it there is for exactly that reason, to show that we can all get along. There's another reason, a personal reason, which is that my father and I got these together at a Red Sox-Yankees game many, many years ago. And it's a nice reminder. I brought it back from my bedroom in Boston a couple of years ago. But for me, it's a fun reminder of that we play hard, but we also work hard and we take life seriously, even though there are the fun moments along the way.
Yeah, I know, Rabbi Brody, it was a great message you mentioned. And I think that it's a great way to close our show is we talked about what we're not going to talk about. We've talked about a lot what we're not talking about, and we're not talking about it again. But whatever your perspectives, and there are other people, we all have in our lives those people who are on the other side of the COVID issue in whatever direction. I'm not even going to mention the possible ways. And you're tempted to see that as the entire other person. There's nothing left to relate to. And one of the things to take away from this episode for ourselves, and we hope for you, is that when you fight on the field, fight on the field. Have that conversation, stand true to your beliefs, and fight for them in a respectful way. And when the game is over, when the conversation's over, go out for dinner, go out for lunch, be friends. That doesn't have to be the totality of your relationship. We have to be able to compartmentalize and be able to say that conversation or that policy, that was an important discussion. And now we have a relationship that transcends that. And let's focus on what we have in common and what could bring us together, not only what separates us.
I remember the first time my wife ever saw me have a chavrusa in the house. And afterwards, she says, "You guys were like so mean to each other. You were like screaming and you were getting all excited and you were telling him he's wrong. And I said, yeah, that's the beauty of it, is we were arguing a point. I believed my perspective. He believed his perspective, but we're best friends. And the moment we left that chavrusa, we hugged each other and we love each other. And that's, that's our tradition. That's what trains us to do.
Once we're on a roll about past guests, when we had on our Congressman, Ted Deutsch, he shared with us the same thing. He says the news never covers it. You won't make a headline. It's not a photo op. But Democrats and Republicans will go out for dinner. They'll spend time socially. Their families will meet each other. And it's not widespread necessarily, and they themselves have their own concerns about it being seen too much by the public. Unfortunately, that's how polarized the world is. But off camera, there are relationships. It's important. You could have your differences. You could fight for them, but you also have to have your relationships, and those are so critical. Hopefully, a message for this time of year that we can all work on and find the ability to be unified, united, to work together. So huge thank you again to our anonymous special friend who arranged for this interview. Really, really grateful. In fact, he played golf last week with Mariano Rivera and with a past president of the United States, and said that Mo was still talking about the interview. So that was an exciting thing. So really, really excited, really pumped about this opportunity. Join us next week. Rav Moshe Weinberger. You want fire for Elul? You want to light your soul on fire? You do not want to miss a conversation with one of the great leaders of our time, with our Rebbe, Rav Moshe Weinberger. Same time next week, Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Take a moment, if you're listening on the podcast, rate and review. Help get the message out to many more people. So grateful that you've been with us. And until next time, stay happy, stay healthy, stay holy.